Usher, baby.
Is a Grammy Award-winning, diamond-selling R&B artist who dominated his era of music in the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s. But while his music career would make records and break records, his personal love life struggles were far from ideal. In 2008, he married his stylist, Tamika Foster, in a union that was subject to scrutiny from the general public and from Usher's own family members. The marriage itself was extremely rocky and ended in infidelity. It only lasted 2 years and would bring about 2 children, but it would also bring about a messy divorce and legal custody battles for years to come. And by 2012, as those custody battles raged on, their family would face a tragedy when Tamika's older son, Kile, from a previous marriage, would lose his life in a tragic accident on Lake Lanier, which is Georgia's largest lake. And in today's episode of the Unfortunate Demise series, we will detail the life of Kyle Glover, his time with Usher, the events of the accident, the aftermath, and his legacy. Born on March 29, 2001, in Atlanta, Georgia, to parents Tamika and Atlanta TV executive Ryan Glover, Kyle had an eye for creativity early on, as he loved to sing and dance.
Cash you now. The town's too small for me to stay. Time is now. Heading now.
By the time he was 6 years old, his parents had divorced and his mother married the legendary R&B superstar Usher, who Kyle and his older brothers had looked up to as fans, and who they now called stepdad. And on Kyle's 7th birthday, their family would attend the Kids' Choice Awards, putting him in the spotlight.
Having a good time. We're celebrating for 2 reasons. One, because we're happy to be here at the Kids' Choice Awards, but also it is my stepson's
Oh, cool.
birthday.
Awesome.
Kyle.
How old are you?
7.
Oh, that's so cool. Nice to meet you.
You know, we cooked together in the house, we laughed, we played, we sang. He loved to sing, he loved to dance, he loved to, to tell jokes.
As Kyle got older, he would showcase some of his talents and personality on his YouTube channel called The Kyle Show. But Kyle was also book smart and excelled at learning, winning medals in academics. He had aspirations to become an engineer, programmer, broker, actor, etc., a jack of many trades. But amidst the public custody disputes between his mother, his stepdad, and his younger brothers, he would spend the summer of 2012 with his father and stepmother. The family, along with several friends, would head out to Lake Lanier for a family day on the water. But this particular lake has been plagued with a dark and sordid past, marked by multiple tragic incidents that have resulted in the loss of innocent lives, making it Georgia's deadliest lake. And beneath the lake's waters sits a former old town called Oscarville, which in the early 1900s had been heavily populated with successful black farmers, carpenters, and blacksmiths. But after the mysterious, brutal murder of May Crow in 1912, 3 young black men would be wrongfully executed for her death, and over time, over 1,000 black residents would be violently forced out of the entire county through rioting, slayings, and the burning of homes and establishments in an attempt to racially cleanse the area and make Forsyth County a white man's county. And in the 1950s, the Buford Dam was built to prevent flooding. The waters from the Chattahoochee River and the Chestatee River would then fill in and form Lake Lanier, named after Confederate soldier Sidney Lanier. And the lake sits right over the top of Oscarville, as the city of Atlanta found it too expensive to demolish the infrastructure. To this day, rooftops, home foundations, cemeteries, and the Gainesville Speedway remain virtually intact underneath the lake. These structures make the lake more dangerous for recreational activities and make it difficult for emergency services to recover bodies. Over the years, the lake has claimed the lives of over 700 people. Still, it's a very popular tourist destination with millions of visitors annually. And on July 6, 2012, Kyle's dad Ryan and stepmom Marcia were in their speedboat, which was towing Kyle and a female friend on an inner tube. But a family acquaintance named Jeff Hubbard had been driving his jet ski in a reckless manner around this time. Marcia said he was just zooming back and forth, yelling with no hands, standing on a jet ski, just really crazy and erratic. She said her and Ryan then saw Jeff racing directly toward their boat, and before they knew it, there was a big cloud of water. His jet ski had struck the inner tube at full speed, knocking Kyle unconscious and leaving his friend with broken bones. Both children would be airlifted to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, and while the friend eventually made a recovery, Kyle, who had taken the brunt of the impact to the head, would never regain consciousness as his injuries were too severe. Days later, he would be declared brain dead.
I happened to be in Los Angeles, California when I received a call from Tamika. She said I need to get back. Something happened with Kyle up on Lake Lanier, and I didn't know how real it was. So I reached out to Ryan, of course, respectfully, to get an understanding. And of course, he told me that, there had been an accident. And I said, well, I can fly Tamika back. Would you like me to do that? He said, yes, get her back here as soon as possible. I got her back on the phone, got her a plane, got her here. In my visitation of Kyle at the hospital, that...
You went to see him?
I went to see him, yes.
For the next 2 weeks, Kyle would be on life support as his family kept hope alive. They released a statement saying, "We know God's in control, and we are leaning on our faith in Him and His Word at this most difficult time. We firmly believe in the power of prayer and ask that you all continue to pray and lift Kyle up, as that's the best way we can all support him now." But on July 21st, after being taken off of life support, he would pass away from heart failure. Tributes would pour in online as people who knew the family were devastated. One tribute in particular coming from Justin Bieber, who had stayed with Kyle's family just before his big break.
What's up, guys? I'm about to do something crazy y'all never seen before.
Wait.
And the most amazing photographer, right here. Right here.
Alright.
Ready?
The funeral for Kyle would be held at the Wyuka Road Baptist Church on July 27th in Atlanta, and it was a beautiful service which was attended by hundreds of mourners, including Phaedra Parks and Jamie Foster Brown. But all the media could focus on was whether or not Usher himself attended the service.
Were you at the funeral?
It hurts me to hear the fact that people speculated and said that I wasn't at the funeral, because I absolutely was at the funeral. I was at the burial as well.
Unfortunately, with the very public, very messy custody battle, the question of Usher's attendance would be a reoccurring theme for all future events that Tamika would put together in Kyle's honor. When she hosted an annual 5K run to raise money for a foundation in Kyle's name, people asked, "Is Usher gonna be there? I'll go if he goes." Still, Tamika became steadfast in honoring her son and making sure changes were put in place so that other families didn't have to endure the same pain. In March of 2013, on what would have been Kyle's 12th birthday, she launched the nonprofit organization, Kyle's World Foundation, with the mission of gifting children with endless possibilities of creative endeavors through applied fine arts, and they started hosting an annual performing arts day camp called Camp Kyle's World in Atlanta. That same month, the Georgia State Senate passed the Kyle Glover Boat Education Law, which requires that anyone born on or after January 1st, 1998, who operates any motorized vessel on Georgia waters must complete a boating safety education course and carry a Georgia Boater Education Card, which at the time seemed like a major step in the right direction. But Tamika would later claim in an Instagram Live that the Kyle Glover Boat Law is not actually being enforced, it just merely exists. Also around this time, Jeff Hubbard was arrested and then indicted by a grand jury. His charges included homicide by vessel, serious injury by vessel, reckless operation of a vessel, unlawful operation of a PWC, and a boat traffic violation, but he pled not guilty to all charges. At trial, his defense lawyer stated that he tried to avoid hitting the boat and hitting the children, but what ended up happening was just a tragic accident. Tamika stated that even though she knows his actions weren't intentional, that he hadn't expressed any remorse either. She said he never came to me, Kyle's mother, and said, "I'm sorry. If you take someone's life, you apologize, especially to their mother. I'm not saying that the court should throw him in jail and throw away the key, but I think everything we do in life, there has to be some consequence for your actions. You can't just go on and live your life as if you haven't ruined someone else's. Kyle was very, very talented, and his legacy I will fight to keep alive, but I don't have my son." When he took the stand, he tearfully pleaded for mercy and forgiveness, but only went so far as to say, "I apologize for my involvement in the incident." And the judge told him, "I'm disappointed that you have not accepted more responsibility for what occurred." Following an 8-day trial and 90 minutes of deliberation, the jury found Jeffrey Hubbard guilty on all charges, and while the sentencing carried a maximum 20 years, he would be sentenced to 4 years behind bars and 15 years probation for operating the jet ski in what the judge described as a foolish manner. But Jeff's father stated that he did want to express an apology earlier on, but was advised against doing so by his counsel.
He's been remorse from day one. It's been a nightmare to him for the last 2 years. And it'll probably be something that's going to be indelibly etched in his mind for the rest of his life.
I'm just baffled. I'm waiting for God to give me the closure so I can just maybe understand, what the message is.
Even though it was an accident and Jeff was remorseful, it was imperative that some justice be served. It was only right. But long before the case had even gone to trial, Tamika claimed that Usher had been using Kile's death as a sham to continually delay the custody case after he requested a postponement for proper time to grieve. But in the end, Usher would be awarded primary custody of his 2 boys. This, of course, put a bigger strain on their already tumultuous co-parent relationship. But things would go from bad to worse when on August 5th, 2013, their 5-year-old son, Usher V, was swimming in a pool at his dad's home when he became stuck in a drain and was under the water for nearly 3 minutes and would be hospitalized in the ICU. Thankfully, he would survive the incident, but for Tamika, this was all too similar too soon, and the very next day she filed a request for an emergency custody hearing in Superior Court, seeking temporary primary custody, citing that her son's near-death accident was evidence of a lack of supervision with the children.
I don't know if there's a way for a blood pressure to peak higher so quick. I was mad because I was like, how did this happen? Who was watching him? Why was my son underwater for, nearly 3 minutes? It was like I relived it, like my brain just went into all those modes thinking. And I even said on the phone, I said, I've had this call before.
Did you blame Usher for that?
I didn't blame him for it. I just was angry that it happened on his watch. Because while accidents happen, never have my children been injured on my watch.
She stayed at the ICU every night with her son, but the judge dismissed her case, and when her son was released, it was back into the care of his father, and Usher retained primary custody of their 2 sons. But Tamika's concern, having had 2 sons be put in harm's way when under the supervision of each of their fathers, was understandably worrisome, and seeing her frustration prompted Usher to offer her a consoling hug in the courtroom. Because at the end of the day, what's best for the kids is all either party really wants. Throughout the years, they would both post many online tributes to Kile, and Usher has expressed many times that Kile's death really shook the core of many of his beliefs. In his song Stronger, released on his 2016 album Hard to Love, he sang, "Been through hell, now I'm hell-proof. Pouring cups of whiskey to get through it. Oh, sweet child of mine, gone way too soon. Lost myself and lost my faith too. Though you're gone, you still live in my mind. The only thing we ran out of is time. Since you left, I ain't been quite the same. I wonder if you miss me. Do I make you proud? Knowing you're watching me, I feel your spirit. I keep you right by my side." Usher would echo these words the following year in an Instagram tribute on what would have been Kile's 16th birthday. And Tamika has posted numerous tributes to Kile over the years and has encouraged followers to be on the lookout for many upcoming projects in his name. In 2019, she released the concept for a 3D animated series entitled The Odd Life of Kile Lyle, who is a quirky 11-year-old boy experiencing the classic middle child syndrome while also managing having superpowers and his day-to-day life saving the world while keeping his powers a secret. The main character is voiced by Kile's younger brother, Naveed, and both of his younger brothers would promote the series at the 2019 Kids' Choice Awards as Tamika began shopping around the idea to different producers. Also, the Kile World Foundation started hosting an annual football camp in Ghana, taking Kile's legacy overseas, and it was a great outlet for the youth out there to express their talents and abilities, and it's good seeing the youth tap into their creativity the same way Kile did. Now, Tamika has often referred to Kile as her favorite human being and her soulmate. She said that he was so spiritually synchronized with her that it was always eerie. And in early 2023, she collected more than 15,000 signatures in an online petition to drain, clean, and restore Lake Lanier to ensure the well-being of all individuals engaging in personal watercraft and recreational activities. She also saw this as an opportunity to honor the memory of those who have lost their lives in the lake, as well as the memories of those in the grave underneath the lake. We shall see what, if anything, comes from her efforts. It's been 11 years since Kile's tragic death, and if he were alive today, he'd be 22 years old, and the possibilities of what all he would have accomplished is infinite. But rest in peace, Kile Glover. In your short time on this earth, you've inspired so many, and your family is going to continue to keep your legacy alive. This is Justified by Jury. Y'all know how to hit that like, and y'all know how to hit that subscribe. If you want to, do so. And I'll catch y'all in the next video.